stand for a moment of silence, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Sorry.
Yeah. This is from Vince Mastrocco. He found this.
The Vice Mayor will be participating remotely in today's meeting. Ms. Hassick, please read the resolution.
A resolution approving participation through electronic communication means by Vice Mayor Thomas in the August 6, 2026 Norfolk City Council meeting due to a personal matter. Adopt the resolution. Mr. Clanton?
Aye.
Mrs. Doyle?
Aye.
Mrs. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. McGee?
Aye.
Mr. Page?
Aye.
Mr. Smiegel?
Aye.
Dr. Alexander?
Aye. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Clanton?
Present.
Mrs. Doyle?
Here.
Mrs. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. McGee?
Here.
Mr. Page?
Here.
Mr. Smiegel?
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Dr. Alexander?
Here. Good evening and welcome to the Norfolk City Council meeting. Tonight we'll take up a regular agenda item to address the council. You should have registered to speak with the clerk prior to 3 p.m. When your name is called, please come to the podium, state your name, home address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Before we begin, Madam Clerk, will you please read the speaker's rules governing tonight's meeting?
City Council rules permit each speaker 3 minutes to speak tonight. As you approach the council, you will notice a timer on the lectern. At the beginning of the 3 minutes, the green light will activate. 2.5 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light indicating that you have 30 seconds to finish your comments. At the end of 3 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep. We ask that you conclude your comments at that time. All comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a profane, disruptive, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks should be directed to the City Council as a body rather than any particular member of council, staff, or the audience. Comments should be germane to the item. A speaker who fails to comply with the basic rules of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you. We have several speakers. Mr. James Thurl.
Thur.
Thur.
Good
Welcome.
evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. 608 Redgate Avenue. My name is Jim Thur. I've had children in Norfolk Public Schools from 04 to 16. And the budget for the schools has grown every year, and performance has gotten worse every year. On greatschools.org, I checked it today. We have no middle school rated better than 3 out of 10, no high school rated better than 4 out of 10, and that's not a function of physical plant. That's a function of operations. The enrollment in public schools has declined 27% from 06 to 25. Physical plant was not adjusted in tandem with that reduction. The schools in their April report expect the enrollment to decline further through 28-29. But the school board has been dilatory in adjusting its physical plant to reflect the population that it has. But now they want to be rewarded for their ineffectiveness with more money. That's not the answer. The answer is to demand proper management of the funds that they are already provided. Similarly, the city needs to spend smarter. It doesn't need to raise taxes to get more money to take this item off the budget and then spend that money on something else. The city needs proper management of its resources. A general sales tax falls predominantly on the residents, not the visitors. And we are already sufficiently taxed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Melissa Corrigan. Melissa will be followed by Grayson Player.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
I stand before you today because I survived the dredges of our society through foster care and countless abuses because of public school. My refuge was school. Education was the only thing that gave me an escape and an opportunity. playing political and financial games with our children's education, using taxpayer funds like a shell game, moving back and forth between education and general funds, obscuring the tracks to taxpayers, footing the bill, and then daring to come back to us with your handout for more is a real-time demonstration of ineptitude and a lack of vision embodied in this city council and the associated school board. You come to us asking for educational facility funds, and we have an educational facility at home. In 2023, the surplus at the end of the school year was $13 million due to staffing shortages. Rodney Jordan proposed, I was in the room, a bonus to every teacher who worked under those conditions. I watched every other school board member vote against that proposal. Then the money was turned over to the city. Then the city bought a mall that we still own, a mall that is only 27 years old, made to last a century or more, and you want more money from us. The City of Norfolk owns more commercial property than any surrounding city, most of it revenue generating. Could you present a report to the people of Norfolk on why raising taxes and not using the facilities we already own, the funds we already generate, is a better solution for our children? Neither mismanagement of facilities nor finances is an acceptable excuse, just as losing $1 million of our money to a Nigerian scammer is not an acceptable loss. And if you cannot use the facilities for education, as I understand zoning and other considerations may prohibit it, the funds generated by whatever is put in that place should be funneled into education. You bought it, and you should use it for the children whose educational fund it came out of. Nobody, and I mean not a single person, that has to drive 16 blocks out of the way when Tidewater floods or has to ride a bus to work has asked for a mixed-use development anchored by a luxury military-themed hotel. Not everybody that lives on that side of Lafayette. Not when our schools have enrollment falling off the cliff, failing test scores, and don't even bear full accreditation. If any private citizen ran their affairs like this city, we'd be bankrupt, foreclosed, and condemned. But I suspect it's the same reason there aren't safe sidewalks in the neighborhood I live in the Norview area, among other race-based decisions that impact the daily quality of life for the residents of Norfolk who are not wealthy, white, or developers. At the end of the day, a lack of vision, integrity, and honor is toxic to local governance. Hundreds of Norfolk residents woke up yesterday figuring out how to get to work because their cars are totaled due to floodwaters, and you come with your hand out. Almost 40,000 Norfolk residents live under the federal poverty limit. 25%, a full quarter of the children who live here, live under the poverty limit, and you come with your hand out. Your job is to be the hand up. Thank you.
Thank you. Grayson?
Good evening, Council, Mayor. My name is Grayson Player. I graduated from Norview High School with honors in 2023, and I just really don't understand how the school can put in an entire new football field and have a military recruiting officer in the cafeteria every day, and not all the students have Chromebooks to do their homework. What message does that send to the students? That our worth is only in military and athletics? That our education doesn't matter? Is that the message the City of Norfolk wants to send to the kids of the future? My experience in both Maury High School and Norview High School were similar in many aspects. Underfunded programs I wanted to take part into, having the military or sports shoved down my throat. Honestly, I don't blame the teachers for not trying either. As previously mentioned, the budget allowed for them to get a pay raise for the extra work they were doing to make up for the 40% loss of teacher hires in 2023. However, the City of Norfolk chose to allocate that to other places. I blame the people in charge, who made the decision for me and hundreds of other students that our education didn't matter, that we belonged in athletics and the military, and that's all they were good for. Teachers like Noah Wren, who was my senior year English teacher, would have to go out of their way to print full books for each student to read in English class from his own printer paper due to them not being able provided by the school, while a new football field was being installed at the same time. That was the dedication these teachers gave to their students, while the money they deserved was thrown towards MacArthur Mall. This whole speech is to say, give money to our future. The kids in our schools right now are going to be in your place one day. Do you want to help their future? Or the future of our city? This isn't a matter of a 1% sales tax. This is a matter of covering up a mishandling of educational funds for children in our city and taking more money from the people's pockets. It is your job to represent the people, uphold your oath, and listen to the people in front of you. As a resident of Norfolk, I would highly appreciate some explanation as to why exactly you need more money from our pockets when you already took money from my future. Thank you.
Thank you. Vicky Manugo Greco, followed by James Parker. Hello, Vicky, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
Good to
Good
see you.
evening, Mayor Alexander, City Council members, City Manager Roberts and staff, and all other stakeholders of Norfolk Public Schools here tonight. My name is Vicky Manugo Greco. My address is 1433 Brunswick. I'm an NPS grad, former NPS special educator, and school board advisory committee member, co-parent to 3 young adult NPS alum, and an NPS volunteer surrogate parent for special education students. So I'm all in, and I fully support Resolution R1 to be placed on the ballot. Since the aftermath of the Great Recession and through the upheaval of the pandemic and the ongoing trials of 2 presidential administrations that have set out to divest from public education, I've been giving back locally as a public school advocate and grassroots coalition by pushing for greater and sustainable investments by our city government in our public school system for nearly the past 15 years. Starting with when I helped to co-found Norfolk Gains, growing and investing in Norfolk schools, a citywide coalition made up of parents, educators, business owners, community leaders, and neighbors that envisioned a vibrant Norfolk, our mid-sized waterfront city with an enviable location on the central East Coast. Awful tidal and flash flooding combos like this past Tuesday notwithstanding. A city noted for thriving businesses, outstanding cultural and recreational opportunities, well-regarded institutions of higher learning, and highly desirable neighborhoods anchored by excellent public schools across the city. A city with a skilled, well-prepared workforce and superior quality of life. Gaines spread the good news that public education is vital to the strength of our city and our economy. We called on our government leaders to prioritize public ed as an invaluable investment to our shared futures. We pushed for greater and dedicated and sustainable funding streams for NPS. We sent each other emails over these past 15 years bemoaning the deficient school maintenance budget, especially for our schools that are the heart and community centers of under-resourced neighborhoods. We worked on various school committees to promote equitable educational facilities and budget planning. From our advocacy efforts with city leaders, we got a 4-cent real estate tax increase in 2014. Which still needs to be looked at, needs to be reevaluated as to whether this investment strategy provided adequate revenue dedicated to address school construction and renovations and deferred school building maintenance and technology. And now, as we're potentially asking Norfolks again to consider paying 1-cent tax for each retail dollar spent, this I know. I'm for this measure, which could come up before voters to consider as early as Friday, September 18th, the early voting start date. I'll end with this. We and the realtors and employers constantly hear the one question when a family or business looks at Norfolk as a place to call home. How good are the schools? Let's come together as Norfolks, as a city we're proud to call home because of our public school system. Schools in demand are not just consumers of tax dollars, but producers of dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. James Parker is followed by Philip Hawkins.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor Alexander. My name is James Parker. I'm the president of the Education Association of Norfolk. I'm also a resident of Norfolk, a teacher serving the students here in the city. I'm here tonight in support of this referendum to raise local sales tax to provide additional funding for our public schools. This investment is critical to ensuring that our students have the resources, opportunities, and support they need to succeed. Our schools are the foundation of our communities. When we invest in public education, we invest in our children, our neighborhoods, and the future of Norfolk. Providing our schools with funding they need allows us to better have students prepare for skills, knowledge, and experience necessary for the future. Supporting this referendum is a commitment to our students, our educators, and our entire community. Strong schools create stronger communities, and investing in education is an investment in the benefit of us all. I strongly encourage our neighbors to support this referendum. Our students deserve every opportunity to succeed, and they cannot reach their full potential without the resources and support they need. Students cannot grow unless we provide them with the tools they need to thrive. Let us come together as a community and ensure that our students have the support, resources, and opportunities they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. Philip Hawkins is followed by Patrick Barry.
Good evening, Mayor Alexander, City Manager Roberts, members of council. I'm Philip Hawkins Jr. I am a resident of the City of Norfolk. I reside at 3597 Mississippi Avenue. I'm a proud product of Norfolk Public Schools as well. Graduate of Norfolk State University. I hold degrees there in business and in education. I am a proud educator of 29 years. This will be my 29th year serving Norfolk Public Schools, and I am the proud assistant principal of P.B. Young Senior Elementary School, as well as a civic leader in the neighborhood of Ingleside. Tonight I'm speaking as an individual, but of course we are all connected. It is so important that we do find streams of funding for our schools. We know this has been an ongoing problem in our city, not only this year or just 5 years ago. This has been decades in the making. I serve at a school that is underserved, that has not had the proper maintenance over decades. You know, the flood waters affected our school. You know, it hit us all, and we're addressing that now. We're preparing our schools for opening. We're excited about that. However, we need more support. While I see that the council has arrived at proposing a referendum to raise taxes, I'm kind of mixed about that outcome, because I feel that the work that has already been done speaks to other alternatives that I would ask that the council, as well as the school board has already done their work. I was serving on the school facilities committee last year, and we know that schools are in the process of being closed and consolidated. They're doing what was requested to save the city money. Now, the committee last year, the report was delivered publicly that we would like to see those funds from those schools closed reinvested in Norfolk Public Schools that are already on the table. So I would ask respectfully that the council consider those funds. Average school costs to run about $1.4 million, and that's a small school. My school is considered a small school, but we had 3 schools closed in June. We're closing 5 this year at the end of next year. So that's a lot of money that's still on the table that the citizens would like our leaders to consider those funding streams. Also, there were streams of funding considered or promised for the casino, which is in the process of being completed. That they would be earmarked for Norfolk Public Schools. I would like to see those options considered again as the referendum goes forth. So I do support the referendum. Give it back to the citizens and let them decide. If they say no, that's no. If they say yes, but let's look at the other options as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Philip. Patrick Berry, followed by Carl Poole.
Good evening, Mayor Alexander.
Good evening.
And members of the Norfolk City Council. I'm Patrick Berry, and I serve as the Vice President of the Education Association of Norfolk, representing the educators and school employees who work every day in our public schools. I am here tonight in support of Resolution R01 to place a proposed 1% sales tax referendum before the voters of the City of Norfolk. This vote tonight is not about raising taxes. It's an investment in our children, our workforce, our neighborhoods, and Norfolk's future. Every day, educators and students walk into buildings that were never designed to meet the needs of a 21st century education. We ask our students to dream big, while too many of them learn in aging facilities that require significant repairs and modernization. Our educators do extraordinary work, but they cannot fix leaky roofs, outdated infrastructure, or buildings that have reached the end of their useful lives. This referendum would create a dedicated funding source for school construction and major renovation. State law also limits these funds to capital projects. They cannot be used for any other purpose. Norfolk is not alone in considering this opportunity. Following action by the General Assembly this year, communities across the Commonwealth are asking their residents whether they want to make this investment in public education. This is much more than about buildings. It is about the students who learn in them, the educators who teach in them, and the neighborhoods that are strengthened by them. As educators, we know that school facilities matter. They influence student learning, staff morale, recruitment, retention, and the pride people have in their neighborhood schools. One of the reasons I support this referendum is because a sales tax spreads the responsibility broadly. I don't live in Norfolk, but I work here, I shop here, and I gladly contribute to the community through the purchases I make. Visitors, commuters, and shoppers like me all help share in this investment rather than placing the burden solely on Norfolk homeowners. Tonight, I urge you to vote to place this referendum on the November ballot and trust the people of Norfolk to make this decision. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to Norfolk students.
Thank you. Carl Poole.
Good evening, Mayor Alexander,
evening,
members
Carl.
of the City Council. My name is Carl Poole, and I'm a Norfolk resident. I'm speaking tonight in full support of Resolution R1 to put a 1% sales tax referendum on the ballot. I'm confident that the people of Norfolk will vote for it. We see the condition of our school facilities. We know that these funds are urgently needed, not only to replace schools like Maury High School, but for the school boards to advance a broader plan to construct and modernize additional schools over the next decade. Giving voters the chance to approve this dedicated funding stream for capital projects is a vital step forward. But I also want to bring a strategic perspective on how these upcoming capital improvements overlap with our city's values and long-term commitments. Back in July of 2020, our school board reached a consensus that several Norfolk schools named after Confederate officers should be renamed. During these discussions, one board member rightly pointed out that the most practical and fiscally responsible time to handle this major renaming, with all the costs associated with new signage, athletic branding, and facilities updates, is when the school is already undergoing a major overhaul or reconstruction or replacement. That former school board member now serves on this council. When the school was being rebuilt to receive a ground-up transformation, those updates naturally integrate into an overall capital budget rather than requiring separate standalone expenses down the road. As we talk tonight about generating revenue specifically for dedicated to major construction and school modernization, we are creating those exact conditions for that timeline to align. Now, I know that official decisions regarding school names rest directly with the school board, but I'm taking this conversation to them as well. But as the body that allocates major capital funding, shapes our city's financial priorities, and collaborates closely with the school division, City Council plays a critical leadership role in ensuring that our investments deliver both a structural excellence and a community alignment. By advancing this referendum, you're not just funding bricks and mortar. You're giving our city the resources to build modern, welcoming schools that reflect the values of our community for generations to come. I urge this council to pass Resolution R1 unanimously tonight, and I look forward to seeing Norfolk voters support our schools on the ballot box. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
I'll read the resolution first.
Read the resolution.
A resolution initiating a referendum election pursuant to Virginia Code Section 58.1-605.1 on the question of whether the city shall add an additional local general retail sales tax not to exceed 1% to provide revenue solely for capital projects for the new construction or major renovation of schools serving this city. Adopt the resolution. Mr. Clanton?
Aye.
Mrs. Doyle?
Aye.
Mrs. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. McGee?
Aye.
Mr. Page?
Aye.
Mr. Smeagol?
Aye.
Mr. Thomas? Dr. Alexander?
I vote aye. I do want to recognize our superintendent, Dr. Jeff Rose, and members of the school board for being here.